The following podcast is an enticing media production.
Where the Nell have you been? Join us for conversation about life, business, and everything in between. Welcome to What the Nell, where we've got stories to tell. Here's your host, Nell Tice.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the What the Nell podcast, the Ecopreneur's Edge edition. I am super excited because Mikey and I are here today with our very first guest of the series. And her name is Kelly Megonnel from Dauphin County Recycling. If you are unfamiliar with Dauphin County, we are in South Central Pennsylvania. So just to give you a little bit of a broad idea of where we are located, that may come in handy a little bit later. But Mikey, welcome back to the podcast. And Kelly, welcome for the first time.
Hello, Nell. It's so good to be here. As always, I'm just so honored to be a part of the Ecopreneur's Edge, finding more E's in my name all the time. For those who don't know me, I am Mikey with two E's. The two E's in my name stand for the environment and everyone, the two things that I care about most. I'm broadcasting from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, which is also in Dauphin County, with renewable energy. I'm a business and sustainability advocate and coach. I am the founder and owner of an eco-friendly award-winning salon. I am the owner of an eco-friendly dance studio. I just opened a third LLC, so my entrepreneurial ventures are going, so I feel like an expert to speak on things about business sustainability and environmental sustainability, which is why we're here. And my dear friend Kelly allowed us to record her today as our first guest. So we're learning the ins and the outs of, interviewing guests. So bear with us. But Kelly, hi, how are you? And can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Hey, everybody. And thank you, Nell and Mikey. I mean, I appreciate you both having me on. And I feel very special that I'm the first guest. So that's awesome. No pressure from me. But again, my name is Kelly Megonnel, and I'm the director of Dauphin County Solid Waste Management and Recycling Department in Harrisburg, PA. I have about 25 years experience in the waste management industry working for county government. So I'm excited to share everything that I know and see how maybe we can pique somebody's interest into recycling, maybe if they weren't, or maybe share information to the avid recyclers that maybe it's something they didn't know. So I'm excited. So thank you very much.
I love that. Well, so Kelly, tell us about your story. How did you get into the role that you are in today?
Oh gosh. Well, back in 1999, either of you might not have even been born yet.
I wish I could say I wasn't, but
flattery will get you everywhere.
Exactly.
But seriously, you guys don't look like you would be born then. But in 1999, when I started at the county, I actually started out in economic development. And we were a solid waste authority at one point. And the Board of Commissioners dissolved the authority, pulled me from economic development and appointed me as the county recycling coordinator because every Act 101 in Pennsylvania requires every county in the state to have a recycling coordinator. So that's how I got into this. And then I just, by really, I guess, hard work and a lot of luck, I became director, and that's how I got here. I did actually leave this position for a while and went to work for the Professional Recyclers of Pennsylvania. That's the state's recycling association. So, wow. But then I found my way back to the county.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
I got it here.
Yeah, that's really cool. So, Mikey, I know you had a couple of questions for Kelly too. I'm really interested to know more about the role that you play in day-to-day activities and operations at recycling and more about the trends. But Mikey, I'll let you take the reins here for a moment.
Well, that kind of segues me right into what I wanted to talk about. And I know that, here at the Ecopreneur's Edge and in all of my modules, I always coach to reduce or reuse, Reduce, reuse, recycling. So we always want to reduce what we're consuming first because that prevents the need for reusing or recycling. Then if we have already, bought it as a consumer, we want to reuse it as many times as we can. But then the final step in that is recycling. So I know that there are statistics out there that say a lot of times recycling isn't done properly, which, if you're at home, tossing stuff in your recycling bin and it's not rinsed properly, or there are labels that aren't taken off, or there's peanut butter still in the peanut butter jar. It's very hard for the municipal recycling centers to actually do that. So a lot of the times they will just have to discard into the landfill or incinerator or whatever their waste management practices, things that we think we're doing so good by recycling. So Kelly, if you are new to recycling, a viewer at home who may not have recycled before, or, if they're just getting started, or if they want to know more about like the process, what is it like at the Dauphin County Recycling Center? What can you share? What tips do you have? How can they make your job easier?
Oh, well, gosh, I hope if I start going off on a tangent about recycling, just reel me back in because that's sort of a open question. So you've visited our recycling center. We recycle electronics here, which are prohibited from disposal in Pennsylvania as of 2010. It's called the Covered Device Recycling Act. So you just can't dispose of your television, computer peripheral at the curb. You have to come here if you live in Dauphin County. And we are a good community steward in that we also allow residents from other counties to use our facility as well. Because at the end of the day, just electronics alone, if you leave them at the curb, they're going to be illegally dumped. And, there's different various chemicals or, nickel, cadmium. There's just different things that you don't want leachating into the ground. So it's best that we just get them here, manage them, and get them off. Because illegal dumping, we could do a whole other podcast just on that alone.
Oh, so what you're saying is basically if you've got a television that's not really working properly and you want to dispose of it, putting it out on the curb with a sign that says free is not necessarily the best route to go down.
That's correct. Because a lot of times what we find is that there's a reason why the TV is out at the curb, right? So if somebody that is less fortunate walks by, sees that, thinks it may be a good item for them, but then takes it home, it doesn't work, then it's going to end up on the curb again. And it's just, we see it all the time. But that's another aspect of our department, not necessarily recycling, but we have a crew of 16 people. It's our litter and illegal dumping abatement crew. They go out 5 days a week. And so if they see televisions or computers sitting alongside the curb, they'll pick them up and bring them back here every day.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
that's really interesting. I did not know that. I always just thought I was doing a good thing by giving it to somebody else or somebody that loves to tinker with parts and things like that. So
And
that's really good
great,
information.
because really that is reuse. So, that's not a bad thing in my opinion. As long as it's getting another purpose of life, I think that that's important, but it just can't be disposed of.
Got it.
This actually opened like two questions in my brain. The first one is, besides electronics, what other things could people use the municipal recycling centers to recycle?
Well, we also have at this facility, and then we have 7 other locations where you can recycle your regular, most common recyclables, like your cardboard, aluminum, plastics 1, 2, and 5, newspaper, junk mail. So we have different convenience sites throughout the county for residents and businesses to use. And then as well here that we partner with the city of Harrisburg, that we have glass bins here as well at the recycling center. So if you live in Halifax or if you live in Conewago Township and you have extra glass, at least we have a common location for our residents to get rid of that rather than just throwing it in the trash.
That's amazing. So now we know what to recycle and where to recycle it.
Yes.
But my second question actually was like, can we talk about the life cycle of,
Sure.
you go out and you buy a new television or you buy a laptop or something similar electronically. You use it, something happens, and, it doesn't get traded in, and then you bring it to the recycling center. What's the life cycle of that electronic?
All right. So once it comes to our facility, we have a contract with a company called Kuzakowski Recycling. They're located in Illinois. They're approved through the state's OEM recycling program. That's pretty technical, and I apologize. But so once the items come here, we segregate all the different electronics. So whether they are CRT TVs, flat screens, the CPUs, the peripherals, however, but we segregate all of those into different Gaylord boxes. Then we load them up on a tractor trailer once or twice a week, and they're shipped out to Illinois, and everything is shredded. So nothing is reused due to liability, because the county certainly doesn't want, Nell or Mikey bringing their items here, your laptop or your cell phone, and then it being reused. As much as we want to promote reuse, those are just items that we aren't willing to take the chance on, because we don't want that liability for you or for the county. So everything's shredded. And then once they're shredded, of course, all those items get segregated, and then they would be sold to an end user. So if it were, rigid plastic pellets that they end up making, then some company is going to buy those, and they'll end up being made into a new product. It may not be a computer. It could be I don't know, a desk. I don't know.
Sure.
Something
So that's how, like, a lot of, even some fencing with the use of recycled products, that's how those types of items are made. Interesting. Okay. That's really cool. What kind of trends are you seeing? Are there trends even? I'm imagining that after holidays even, there's a lot of clean out and things like that. Or is there a busy time of year? Tell us, like, what types of trends or patterns that you see in the recycling world.
For us directly, we see at the recycling center with the electronics, the most obvious busy time for us is going to be over like Christmas, the month of December. So at the beginning of the month, we see a lot of folks bringing stuff in, maybe after they had just shopped the Black Friday sales, but definitely it's like the week of Christmas, we're usually dead. And then the week after, we're pummeled because everybody got new electronics. So that's the one trend that we see. But, we've seen trends over the years where we've gone from the CRT TVs, believe it or not, they still come in, just less frequent. One thing that I do find interesting is the 80-inch or above TVs. The amount of them that we get in for recycling just amazes me, because I would actually like one of those on my wall at home. But so now I see them come in all the time. I'm wondering what's wrong with them. So their lifespan must not be that great.
Yeah, I was wondering that. That's kind of part of where I was going with that question too. What are people throwing away?
Yeah.
What's not working?
Huge TVs. And I'm like, wow, it amazes me.
Interesting.
That's so funny. I feel like you can tell more about people through two things: their explore page on Instagram and what's in their recycling bin.
Amen to that. Absolutely.
That's
100%. Oh my gosh.
But then I would like to also reflect like on the drop-off convenience stations throughout the county. Those we see the different type of products. So like during the summer, we're going to see, like during Memorial Day, 4th of July, when people are drinking a lot of wine and or beer. So that tends to be the most how do I want to say, the most commodity that we get at the centers, right? But then you go towards the holidays in December, I'd say from November and through December, and the most we get is cardboard because people are shopping.
Yeah.
So if that helps at
That
all.
makes sense. And
Makes
like,
total
I
sense.
wouldn't have even thought that would be a pattern or a trend, you know?
Right.
Definitely a pattern.
Like when you do your forecast next year, it's like, all right, this time's going to be this time's going to be that, and we'll get some 80-inch TVs in between.
Exactly.
That's so good. So let me, I know that we mentioned there were, other municipalities here in Pennsylvania. Is there, just because I'm curious, is there a time when like all of my lovely recycling directors get together? Is there a summit? Like,
Yes.
how do you
Well,
figure out what you're going to do next?
So if anybody is interested, including you both, the organization that I once was executive director of, the Professional Recyclers of Pennsylvania, it's public and private sector members. So you have regular citizens, you have folks joined in the local level, like from the city of Harrisburg or from Lower Paxton Township, and then you have all 67 counties represented there through whether they're a solid waste authority, a department, some are out of health departments. It varies where the recycling coordinators are. But yep, we get together every July for our annual conference, and it goes from one side of the state to the other. Last year, it was at the Wind Creek Casino in Bethlehem. Oh, it's awful. And this year, it's out in Pittsburgh, the Pittsburgh area. So not at a casino, but it's awesome. You get so much talking to your peers, during that time. I get more out of networking after 25 years than, you can only beat in me so much about Act 101. It hasn't changed since 1988.
Yeah. I mean, networking is super powerful. No
Absolutely.
matter what industry you're in. My
100%.
gosh. Okay. So I want to bust some myths.
Okay. I love myth busting.
So, okay. The first myth is, and I think maybe it's not a myth. Tell us if it is. Recycling at home doesn't actually work. So here's a two-part question. What would you say to someone that says, no, don't bother, recycling doesn't actually work? And two, does it actually work? And what's happening to it once you do recycle it?
All right.
Your plastics and things like that.
So it definitely does work. We actually at the recycling center get calls like that, not too frequently, but periodically, where somebody will say to me, are you really recycling? Yes, we're really recycling. I mean, I can tell you from our programs, we collect our material separately. So if we have our recycling truck out, it's picking up 10 tons of cardboard before it goes to the cardboard recycler. If it's at your curb, like I have pen waste, for example, where I live, and I know it gets recycled. Now, where I think the confusion becomes is not everything that you put in that bin may be recycled. And that's due to education, lack of knowledge, or sometimes, I'm just going to be very frank, pure laziness, like the peanut butter jars. So somebody a long time ago, I swear to you, said to me, I am not cleaning out my my peanut butter jars because it's jacking up my water bill. I'm like, geez, well, how much water are you using?
How large is your peanut butter jar?
Or how much peanut butter, is it a big container? I don't know. So, for example, for me, if I'm going to recycle a plastic peanut butter jar, I take some Dawn, I put it in there, shake it up, let it sit there for a day or two, then I rinse it out, no problem. And I'm off of a well, and my well is yet to go dry yet. So I'm just saying.
Thank you for clearing that up.
Yeah, you got it. But that brings me into a subject that I really do like to talk about, and it's called wish cycling. It's legit a thing called wish cycling. And we get that all the time here. For example, but not something at your curb. People will call us and say, can I bring my Keurig to you? Can I bring my vacuum to you? Because they think it's electronic. No, it's electric. Just because it plugs in is not make it electronic. That's electric, and that's just household trash. So it amazes me and warms my heart, really, that so many people are conscious of that. But at the same time, then they will literally say to me on the phone, like I'm telling them the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
No, it is trash. And then you have to tell them, like, well, do you have a big bin? You know, just like the bin I have, I can stick a whole full-size vacuum in that bin without doing anything, and along with trash. So wish cycling will give recycling a bad rap, in my opinion, because when you're putting those things out at the curb, for example, and it's not on the list of accepted materials from that specific hauler, because again, each community, each hauler, all going to have different programs.
Sure.
And so the wish cycling is really what boogers it up, to be honest. So if you just stick to the program, you know,
Something I want to mention for wish cycling that is super prevalent today, and most people I know are not educated on, lithium ion batteries.
Oh, yes.
Because they're in our cell phones, they're in our laptops, they're in our portable devices, tablets, Kindles, all that stuff. Power drills, your battery will go, but that's a lithium ion battery. Is that recyclable at the municipal recycling center? And if not, what should people do with it?
No, and we do not accept them due to the fire risk. If they connect, or if there gets moisture in them, we can't. And the other, the other prohibitive thing about collecting them is the cost. So they're very expensive to recycle. We refer people to Batteries Plus Bulbs or Batteries Warehouse for regular lithium ion batteries. If they come on a rechargeable tool, usually Lowe's or Home Depot's will take them back for free. So that's kind of cool. But no, they're a real issue. And in my opinion, that needs to be an original equipment manufacturer responsibility piece of legislation. Because if you're going to manufacture a product that you can't recycle, it's dangerous. If you put them in the back of a trash truck, you see it with Penn Waste. I hate to keep bringing them up because they're a wonderful company, but Penn Waste has issues with people putting the lithium ion batteries in their recycling or their trash. Then they go in their compactor and it sparks a fire in the back of the truck. And you certainly don't want that either. So again, I really think it's going to take pressure from, like the Department of Environmental Protections from around the country, maybe from around the world. I don't know, to collectively get the manufacturers to have a take back program, similarly to what we did with electronics, because there were just such an influx that now the manufacturers are responsible to take back so much a year.
To your credit, I mean, when you're traveling on an airplane, some luggage, I have a piece of luggage that has a lithium ion battery that's a charging pack inside the piece of luggage. And if you are checking it, if you're taking it on the plane and it's, they're checking it at the gate or whatever, they will make you take it out and they will watch you do it because it cannot be left unattended for fear of starting fire or sparking. Yes. And that actually did happen on a flight a few years ago, actually, where the battery just caught fire. And it's a real issue. And it sounds like that's something that we really, truly need to start figuring out sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. I mean, I wish I could personally alone be the champion for that. But maybe, maybe it's Mikey and maybe it's Nell.
Maybe it's all of us together.
Look, when I asked that question, I knew that we didn't have a great answer for it, but how we're going to get to that answer is opening the discussion and helping build awareness so that somebody somewhere, maybe it is one of us, maybe it isn't, but somebody's going to figure out the solution to this problem.
And it is desperate. We really do. That was a great question because that's one of our pet peeves here. That and household hazardous waste.
What type of, what would you classify as hazardous waste from a household?
Household hazardous waste is, I don't even know if this is the right word how I want to describe it, but sort of like an oxymoron, because it says hazardous in it, but yet it's not a regulated waste. So it's not regulated federally, and it's not regulated in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. In fact, I really don't know. Maybe California. I'm not even sure if anywhere. But so household hazardous waste would be like driveway sealer, any unused chemical, like cleaning supplies that you have, paint. But in our household hazardous waste program, because all of Dauphin County's waste goes to a waste to energy facility, we don't accept paint. Paint actually creates good BTUs for electricity, and it's water soluble. So it's not even considered hazardous. If you dry it out with kitty litter, for example, or newspaper, then you just plop the lid back on, stick it in your trash bag, off to the waste to energy facility it goes, and then the can comes out on the back end and gets recycled anyway. But
interesting. Okay.
yeah, so those would be household hazardous wastes, those types of things.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
So we'll have to find the solutions for lithium-ion batteries and household hazardous waste.
Yes.
Okay. If you're listening, that's your homework.
So I just have one more question. I don't know if it's a myth buster or not. K-cups, recyclable, yes or no?
No.
Got it.
No. At least not in our program. There may be a program specifically for those K-cups, but not our program. So that gets into the different resins of plastics. And even if you have, for example, I wish I had a K-cup with me, but to know what resin it is. But we accept, for example, 1, 2, and 5. But let's say, oh crap, I was looking for a plastic water bottle. But a plastic water bottle is obviously recyclable, right? And let's say you have a child's toy. Maybe it's the little bike that they, a rigid plastic toy that they ride on. And it has the exact same resin number as the water bottle. And you get confused because you're like, well, your bins say 1, 2, or 5, and my child's toy says number 5, but you don't want it. It's because it's a different type of 5 resin. It's like a rigid plastic. So we only collect plastics that are bottles and containers. I know that sounds weird, but
wow.
Yeah. I mean, recycling is very complicated, and I could talk trash all day long. I mean, it just goes from one thing to another. Just,
yeah, I really feel like we could somehow make this a little bit easier and a little bit more even motivating for people.
Yes, I agree. And if somebody figures it out, let me know personally, because
So this actually sparked something in my brain about some other events that I've been doing through the Green Beauty community, which I'm a founder of, and we do live productions every first and third Monday of each month. We were talking about manufacturing and packaging, and so I think that a lot of the solution is going to be, we now have in the salon industry, we have product bottles that are monoplastics. So the bottle is made of number 1, the screw top is made of number 1, and the pump is made of number 1, and it doesn't have a metal spring. So it is all completely a recycled plastic, and the packaging companies are starting to figure out that not only is it what us consumers are demanding, but it's also saving them money. Once they formulate the proper packaging, then they can use that, and then it's a lot easier for them to do bring back programs, so you can recycle through that actual manufacturer, or it's easily recyclable through municipal things. So things like this are being figured out. It's just going to take a little bit of time, and hopefully, we were going to turn this into like a little bit of an AI discussion. Maybe one day there's going to be an AI algorithm to help the packaging companies. That way it doesn't make it hard on us to recycle it all.
Yeah. Well, so then this brings me to a question maybe both of you might be able to answer. Is there a resource or a place that people can go to if they want to support these types of manufacturers or companies that are producing monoplastics or or any type of item that's easier to figure out how to recycle, is there a resource that people can go to seek those companies out to support them?
I can only speak for the beauty industry in that one because it's the only one that I am familiar with that does have a program like this, but I will send them right to greenbeautycommunity.com. That is our website that houses the entire 501c nonprofit, and you can find us everywhere on social media at Green Beauty Community, except on Instagram because that was already taken. So we're at Green Beauty Community Foundation because we are a 501c nonprofit foundation.
As far as what I'm aware of, Pennsylvania has a recycling market center. It's operated through Penn State, and it's actually out of Penn State Harrisburg. So Pennsylvania, if you just Google Pennsylvania Recycling Market Center, they are the main market driver in helping, find markets, sustain markets within the Commonwealth, and partnering with people to also figure out how to recycle different products. So
good to know. Thank you.
That makes me so happy. This was such a great episode.
I know. I love this. And I wish I had more questions for myth busting, but I mean, I've always just been very curious, about the K-cup thing, because I worked in the coffee industry for a while too. And there was so much surrounding how to make eco-friendly K-cups and things like that. And I was so against single-use plastic, or those K-cups and things like that, and Keurigs in general, just because of the waste that they produce. And it validates me. I feel validated in the sense that you're saying that just because it's electric doesn't mean it's electronic.
That's right.
So Keurigs, you know what? I'm going to be fastidious and even more passionate about don't use Keurigs.
and just to kind of talk about that one Keurig cup, Mikey, when we started the podcast, you had said about, reduce, reuse, recycle. And the one other thing is rethink, because what I find is a lot of people, it's just common sense, right? So if you didn't want, maybe you had a Keurig, but you're really against using the plastic K-cups, well, then you would seek out like an alternative through Amazon or Costco and get the eco-friendly ones, the little pot, like the little pods that
and use your own coffee.
Yes, or use your own coffee, because you can do that with a Keurig. You can still do the single thing. So I really think that anything with recycling, I really do believe rethinking is the main key. And that should start before you reduce, reuse, or recycle. You should rethink your whole process on what you're purchasing. And I'll leave you with this story that a gentleman, a resident of our county, it's probably about 20 years ago, when we first opened the recycling center, he would call me once a week, and for we'll say about a month. And he'd say, he has all of these plastic utensils. And why isn't there, this is before they had compostable utensils. And he would say, what am I going to do with them? Can I bring them down there to recycle? I'm like, no, sir, they're not, they're not recyclable. He didn't understand why. And then it occurred to me one day, I'm like, sir, how about you just not take them when you go for your takeout? So when you order your takeout and you go there, you just simply say, no, thank you, I don't need utensils.
I mean, it sounds so simple, and yet it's so complicated for people.
But I get the plastic utensils. I may not use them, but I keep them in my desk drawer for emergencies. I mean, but again, I don't have 1,000 of them. I have 2.
And I wash them after I use them. I can get multiple uses out of my, plasticware.
Yes. Do people know you don't even have to throw them away after you use them?
You don't. But then that leads me into just one other, piece of conversation as well. My one of my best friends, we're going on a cruise next week, and the cruise line doesn't allow you to take your own water bottles on, like Deer Park or whatever. So, but she, in her daily life, thinks, as a part of her recycling, she buys these water bottles and then she reuses them, repeatedly. I don't know how much she uses them, but she'll just fill them up with more water or whatever. But then that leads me to think about the whole trending of microplastics that we're consuming. So, is that health? You want to reuse, but then at the same time, do you want to end up, getting yourself sick if that's legitimately a thing with the microplastics? I don't know because I'm not a chemist nor a doctor, but so
that's a real concern. I mean, not only are microplastics not good for the environment, they're not good for our bodies. I mean, there are materials that are much more suitable, stainless steel and cooking with cast iron and things like that, and things that will last for generations that we can keep passing down and are, much healthier for us and the environment. So that's a really good point to bring up. Thank you for doing that.
That's so good. I love my reusable, Stanleys. I have my green one usually because I'm the green beauty community, person. So I love my reusable ones, but there are also like toxicological implications of reusing water bottles, not just microplastics, but who knows what that bottle was actually made out of.
True.
Excuse me. If it gets hot or cold, things can leach out of the bottle and into the water. So like I have definitely heard of, BPA being leached into water bottles that were left in your car in the summer. And then you're drinking that. So things that we don't want to ever consume.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been an amazing episode. Kelly, thank you for joining us. Any last thoughts? Any of you?
I just want to say thank you so much. This is my first podcast, so.
Oh my gosh! Well, thank you. That feels amazing. That's very cool.
Anytime you guys want to talk trash, feel free.
I love
be happy to join.
I love that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Mikey, thank you for setting this up and also being here as well. Any last thoughts?
Well, I'm so happy that I have been able to network and connect with so many amazing people on my eco-friendly and sustainable journey. I'm happy to, connect everyone who's listening and watching with these incredible individuals who are literally out in the community making a difference every day. I have like a whole list of like more questions and comments and concerns and everything, but like I guess we're just gonna have to have you on again, Kelly, for maybe your second podcast.
I would love it. Thank you.
But I will ask, is there a place that people can find the Dauphin County Recycling Center or the municipal list in Pennsylvania if they're searching for questions?
Yes. So is it okay to give our address? I mean,
sure.
Okay.
Whatever you're comfortable with.
So the Dauphin County Recycling Center is located at 1625 South Cameron Street in Harrisburg. And feel free to call us. We are open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. And our number is 717-982-6772. And then, of course, residents can use the county's website at dauphincounty.gov and simply search for under public services, solid waste management and recycling. That will take you to our page, and you can learn everything that you could possibly know about Dauphin County trash through our pages, or give us a call. And my email is there as well. So we're always here, happy to answer any questions, help folks in any way that we can.
Love that. And that information will also be in the show notes below. So it's easily accessible to all of the listeners. Well, I would love to say thank you so much to the two of you for joining in on this episode today, of course. And to all of the listeners out there, please, wherever you're listening to this, leave us a review and subscribe, get notified as well. If you're watching on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. Also, leave us a comment. What do you want to hear? And what do you want to know? So we love to have these discussions. That's how we truly make progress in this world of the Ecopreneur's Edge. So thank you all for listening. And as always, I will catch you on the next one.
To learn more about how to tell your story, connect with Nell at enticingmedia.com. That's ENTICE media.com. Thanks for listening to the What the Nell podcast.